Hey guys, so we're here at a beautiful home in Costa Rica, and I came with Pedro today. He's the one shooting for me right now, and I came to help him out with a shoot of this beautiful house here in the mountains. I'm about to show him how to use my gimbal because he's going to use it today. And so I figured I would show you guys how I use it as well. Show you how I set it up, how I balance it. This pretty much goes for most gimbals. This is the Crane 2, but if you have the Ronin S or the Ronin SC or any of those, they pretty much balance the same and operate very similarly. So what I'm telling you right now, you can kind of apply to any gimbal. And then after that, I'm just going to show you a couple classic gimbal shots, smooth push-in shots, and slide out reveal shots that you can use for real estate videos. So let's start from the beginning here. Get out our Crane 2, this floppy looking weird thing, this little stand on it. By the way, I really like this gimbal. If you're looking for a good gimbal to start out with, a good all-around gimbal that pretty much works for most cameras that you're gonna want to put on it. You know, maybe if you're, I mean, it'll even take cinema cameras. I've seen people put like Reds and bigger cinema cameras on it, and it holds up pretty well. I'm working with a Sony A7S with a pretty chunky lens. This big 16 to 35 Zeiss is like pretty heavy, and this thing has no trouble with it. So I like that about it. So sometimes you gotta figure out which way this goes. So this sits flat like that. Just to show you really quick too, the batteries for this are in here. So it lasts for quite a while, but I like to charge these up. These are rechargeable batteries. I like to charge them up before every shoot, just so I know going into the shoot that I have full batteries and I don't have to worry about running out if I'm shooting all day. So that's a good tip. Anytime you're doing a paid shoot, always charge all of your batteries up. Even if you charged them up a week ago, go through and make sure they're still charged. Sometimes they'll lose charge over time of just sitting. So always make sure your batteries are charged. I've definitely learned the hard way too many times. This is the adapter here for the Ronin. The great thing about, this isn't the Ronin, this is the Crane 2. The nice thing about this one for the Crane 2 is that it's the same size, pretty standard size for most tripods too. So my Manfrotto tripod, I can just pop this off and put it right on the tripod. I don't need to be swapping out anything. It makes it really quick. So I like that about this one. It just slides on here like that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through each axis. So this is a 3-axis gimbal, so we're gonna go through each one and balance it separately. So if you look right now, it's flopping over to the left pretty bad, and that's because I had a microphone on it. It's on the camera that Pedro has right now. But when there's a lot of weight on the top, it throws it all off and you have to balance it differently. So I know right now that I'm gonna need to slide this axis here to the right because it's flopping over to the left. So I just, little by little, pull it over until it starts to kind of balance in the middle. So right there is about good. And then I'll tighten this up. And now see it's falling backwards. So before I really set this axis here, I want to make sure I have my lens set where it's going to be. So if I set it here and then I zoom out, it's going to create more forward weight and it's going to throw it off. So I know I'm shooting real estate right now, and this is a 16 to 35 lens. I'm going to keep it at 16. We want to make these rooms look as big as possible, so we want it as wide as possible. So I set that first before I balance it. Still falling backwards, so I'm going to slide this forward a little bit. And look at that, I found it pretty quickly. But you just have to kind of very slightly move it forward, very slightly move it back. You get a hang of it, you get better and better at it over time. But I can notice now that now that I moved that, it threw this axis off. So it's a little bit of a game of playing around. So it's kind of leaning to the left a little bit right now, so I'm just gonna pull it over a teeny bit more. Now it's going to the right. Oh, that looks pretty good. So now, if I put it in the middle, it pretty much stays there. The other axis that you need to check, and I didn't even know about this for a long time when I was first getting into using gimbals, and I was wondering why my gimbal was going all crazy and like starting to shake. I wasn't balancing this axis right here. So this axis, right now it's actually pretty balanced. So you want it to be able to, when you move it, point it straight up like that, to stay like that. Or move it right here to stay there, not like flop up and down. So how you can do that, you can see right here, is this axis. And right now I'm noticing it's falling still to the right. So let's pull this back a little more. So anyway, this just adjusts right here. So if it was falling forward like that, you just want to slide it back, and you just want to balance it right here in the center with it pointing straight up like that. And just find that balance point. There it is. So now you can set it forward and it won't be flopping around all over the place, and that's pretty much balanced. That's all you really have to do. You do it 10 times and you pretty much got it. I like to make sure before I turn it on to have the camera set straight and kind of balanced, not flopped down like that. It just adds extra stress to the motors, and these motors can wear out over time, so any less stress we put on them, the better. So get it all set up nice and straight. Press the on button, you just hold it until it turns it on, and it'll automatically straighten itself, and it'll pretty much be ready to go. So another thing I just want to mention, we were just having some trouble with some like micro vibrations going on with the gimbal. I just wanted to show you what we did to fix that. The adapter on the bottom here, I had slid back further like this, kind of sticking off the back. I just centered it more so the weight is distributed better above this plate, and just moved it a little bit forward more to come into the lens a little bit better. And then I balanced it again, and now it's perfect. There's no like little micro vibrations. So make sure you check that. If you're feeling any vibration, definitely don't shoot like that, because it's not gonna be smooth. It's gonna look really weird. So you gotta make sure that you have everything balanced, and if it's balanced, it should not be vibrating like that. So there's a couple modes here, and there's PF, which allows you to turn the gimbal like this, and it'll move. So you can just use your wrist basically to control it, but it won't do anything when you're pressing this toggle. It will toggle up and down actually, it won't toggle left or right. The other mode that I use is this L mode, which now if I move my wrist, it won't turn at all. So say but the toggle will. So the toggle, you can turn it now. So let's say this first shot I'm going to show you, we're going to use this setting because I'm going to walk straight into the room. And it doesn't matter if I turn a little bit, it's going to keep the camera perfectly straight. So that's pretty much the best setting for when you're doing these like classic push into the room shots in real estate. But if you're wanting to like go in the room and turn around a corner, I would switch back to that PF mode, so I can push in and then turn the corner, and I don't have to even use the toggle switch to turn the camera, because the less you use this toggle while you're actually shooting, the better. It's going to be a lot smoother. You can use this to kind of set it up where you want it before you start shooting, but I recommend to use your movement of your body or your wrist to move the camera. So if you're shooting at 60p, you want to make sure that your shutter speed is double that. So we're going to change our shutter speed to, the closest would be 125 that you have the option of. So 60, always shoot at 125. If you're shooting at 24 frames per second, always shoot at 50. And this gives you a slight amount of motion blur and gives a much more cinematic look. So that's pretty much it for the camera settings. In this space we're working in right here, our background is a lot of windows. Fortunately, we have kind of a cloudy day, so it's not too bright outside. And this room has a lot of light in it as well, so we're not competing too much with the inside and the outside. So I think we're gonna do a pretty good job here with balancing the exposure, where if it was a really, really bright day and kind of a dark room, these windows would just be blown out. This is always something you gotta figure out. What's the best time to shoot at home? You might wanna wait till later in the day around sunset to where it's a little bit darker outside so you can get a really nice balanced exposure. So what I'm gonna do on this first shot is I'm gonna start outside the room, and pretty much I do this for every room in the house. I do an establishing shot of pushing into the room and kind of revealing the room. It's a really simple shot. There's two ways I like to do it. If I have a doorway walking straight into the room, I'll just do a straight push-in shot. In this case, the doorway is on the side here, and I can't really easily push straight in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have it set on that PF mode, which allows me to move the gimbal with my wrist. And I'm going to push into the room and slowly turn to my right to reveal the whole room. Let's just give it a shot here, see what we get. Okay, you might have to do this a couple times because I just bumped something on the walk-in. I always do it like 3 to 5 times. And another thing just to mention too, I'm shooting at 60p, so I'm gonna be slowing it down to 40% in post. So I wanna walk actually twice as fast as I want it to be in the end. So if I walk this fast into the room, when I slow it down to 40%, it's gonna be, less than half that speed. If I walk too slow in and I slow it down, it's gonna be way too slow, and people are just gonna be waiting, like, just show me the room already. So we wanna walk a little bit quicker. That's what's nice about shooting in slow motion, is that you don't have to walk really slow and perfect. You can just kind of walk normal speed. Do a couple more times. Even if I think I got the shot, I want to do it multiple times. And I tend to think that bringing my camera down a little bit lower in rooms tends to look a little bit more flattering to the room instead of like standing up here. So keep it a little bit lower as well. That's my shot. So that's kind of my classic push-in shot. If you look over here, we have a bathroom over here. I might even do the same shot, but pushing in from this room. I like to give myself a lot of different options to choose from in post. So I might do that same shot from a few different angles just to give some more options. Since we're doing kind of a more straight shot here, let's switch to that other mode, L mode. Set our camera where we want, and then just walk straight, and it'll keep that straight motion. After doing it, I'll walk backwards and do it too, and just walk forward and backward a few times. So this way, maybe the backward one I like better, I don't know. Or maybe the forward one I like better, but I want it backwards so I can easily just reverse it and post. And that's pretty much it. So that's your kind of establishing shot going into the room. I think that's all I'm gonna show you guys today. There's obviously, we need to show the whole house. There's a lot of different shots that we can use, but that'll get you started, at least getting your gimbal set up, getting your camera settings, and getting that first establishing shot, which if you even just know that shot, you can get started doing real estate videos. You want to show as much of the room as you can, but just start simple. You know, play around your own house, do those push-in shots, and get it so it's like buttery smooth. If it's not perfectly smooth in post, just use warp stabilizer. And if you're doing a shot like that where you're just pushing straight in, warp stabilizer 9 times out of 10 makes it look perfectly smooth. So if you need another layer of smoothness, you can always add that. But I've found shooting at 60 and slowing it to 40% is just fine, especially when using a gimbal. So that's what I got for you guys today. Get out there and get some great shots.